Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I'm here continuing to work on the full deck challenge. And today's prompt is stacked. And so when I think of the word stacked, I just think of like lots of layers and stacking papers and different embellishments. So that's what I'm going to do for today's prompt. And one of the things I want to possibly stack on my card somewhere is this little frame that I found in my stash. But I am going to kind of go with a pink colored theme today. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start off by painting this first before I do any layering. Just so it has a chance to possibly dry without having to use my heat tool. But I will dig that out if I need to. And I'm just using some Waverly brand chalk paint. And next I think I'm just going to tear some paper and layer it onto my project. And then also we're supposed to do like one element that's constant, which for me is my stamp here. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this on something on my project that I'm going to layer up on. You know what? I think I'm gonna stamp it on the butterfly and do something a little different. Just trying to decide if I want it on the whole butterfly, which I think I will, so I'll just go ahead and stamp it. And then we'll cut that out. And then the other element that we're supposed to have like one carryover item from the month before, and I used cheesecloth, or not the month before, but the week before. And last week I used cheesecloth, so I do have a little bit of cheesecloth sitting here that I'm going to use as my carryover item. So for sure that'll get added, and then now since I stamped on this butterfly, this is going to also get added. So maybe put that there. And then also we're supposed to show the number and the suit just to show that it's a playing card. So I have that, and then I have some of this pretty pink paper here, which is pink and gray. So let's add some of that onto the card. And then what else do I have? I don't know that if I pulled out too many types of paper to play with today. So let's pull out some of this kind of polka dotted paper, and we'll add that. And then I'll maybe add another little strip of this pink over here once I get all this stuff glued down. So today I'm going to try and use some Mod Podge. It's something I don't use a lot in my craft room, so I'm just going to try to use up kind of what I already have, just since I'm not using it, just to see if I like using it on the cards. I know Shanna, who does this challenge, she's been using that product, so I'm going to go ahead and try it. Usually I like to use matte medium. But I might as well use this since I have some in my stash and before it dries out. So that works, I think. Sorry about that noise. If you heard that, that was my paper towel rack, and it got tipped over. And I was being distracted. I got some glue on my ink pad, and I didn't want that to happen, so I got a little distracted there. So now, of course, I got ink on my fingers and kind of a little bit of a hot mess going on here, but that's okay. It's always a good day when you get to spend time in your craft room, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. I think I'm just going to call that good for the background for now, and I'm just going to put another layer of this matte medium over it just to make sure everything stays, or not matte medium, but Mod Podge, just to make sure that everything stays down good. And then we'll start thinking about the next layers as that's kind of drying here. So I know at the very end I want to put this on, and then I'll have the little butterfly somewhere on here. And I think I want to use this pretty lady right here as kind of my main focus, and then maybe layer some things going on behind her. Maybe I'll layer on a piece of this doily. So we'll stack that on. Kind of feel like I'm covering all my layers, but I guess we're supposed to stack on a lot of stuff. So just seeing what works kind of here. You know, I'm just not feeling all the layers today for whatever reason, but all right, so maybe, you know, maybe I just got to give up on the frame idea. Maybe that's part of my problem, is maybe I'm just not feeling that today. But I have this cute little flower, which I think I could stack on, and then this butterfly down there. You know, there's somewhere on my desk, I thought I had like this word right here. That's not gonna work. What else do I got? I'm just going to take a look and see what this clock looks like underneath everything. Then I still got to layer the cheesecloth on there. Yeah, I'm just not feeling this feeling this one this week for whatever reason. That's kind of cute, huh? or better than what I thought, I guess. So I have that flower. I wish I had another one of these flowers, but I don't. And then if I layer the cheesecloth underneath this, I think I'm gonna call that good. Like I said, I'm just not feeling it too much this week, so so we'll just use what we have here and call it a day. I think. So for sure that's going on. All right. Hopefully I'll still be able to punch my hole through all those layers. I kind of forgot about that. I think I'm going to put a little bit more cheesecloth underneath that. I'll have to punch out the, I'll have to wait and use my other hole punch that's not here, that I can reach into that and punch that out later. Just trying to stack as many things as I possibly can on here, even though, like I said, usually I like to do little clusters and whatnot, but I'm just not, for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling this one today. If I would have had more time, I probably would have put the butterfly onto a piece of cardstock and then like popped it up, but I just don't have a lot of extra time today in the craft room, so. All right, so there's that, and then I'll layer on the button. And let's see. So to finish it off, I think I do have a little sentiment here that says everything is possible. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm just adding another layer of the Mod Podge over everything because that might just make it a little bit stiffer, I think, when it dries. And then I think the only thing that I have left to do is I did want to add just a little bit of this pink trim. Just because I think I'm going to use that next week for my carryover item. And so I might as well glue a little bit of that down. So I'll just put a little bit of that underneath the sentiment here. And so here is my finished card. I don't have time to work on a Rolodex card today, but I guess it turned out a little bit better than I thought, but it's still probably not my favorite. So this, again, is my interpretation of the prompt for this week, which is stacked. And I just stacked a bunch of different papers. So you guys all have to let me know what you think. And hopefully I'll see you back next week for another episode. Until then, have a wonderful day and happy crafting.